I'd like to call to order the Reidsville City Council meeting for Tuesday, June 9th, 2026. First order on the agenda will be invocation by Reverend Bryant Booth, a chaplain for the Reidsville Police Department and minister at Temple Baptist Church, 729 Wentworth Street, Reidsville.
Let us pray. Gracious Lord, we come to you tonight, and Lord, we're just so honored to be here. And Lord, I just pray right now that you'd be with each and every member that's represented here, the City Council. Lord, I pray that you would just be with them. And Lord, I just pray right now that you would just give them wisdom tonight on what they need to do and the decisions that they need to make for our community. And Lord, again, I just thank you for our police officers. I thank you for our firefighters, and Lord, the sacrifice that they make to make our community better. So Lord, just bless this meeting right now, and we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Master.
Next item on the agenda will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Could we all stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, you've all had an opportunity to study the agenda as presented. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as it is.
And we have a motion, and we have a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Next, we have proclamations and recognition. Recognition of City of Reidsville 2025 Employee of the Year, Macey Dixon. Come forward, please.
Come forward with your family. It is truly my honor and privilege to recognize an individual whose work ethic, dedication, and positive spirit have made an extraordinary impact on our city this past year. This year's Employee of the Year is the kind of employee every organization hopes to have. Dependable, professional, detail-oriented, and deeply committed to serving others. When a task is assigned to her, there is complete confidence by her peers and her leadership team that it will be handled thoroughly, accurately, and on time with excellence. She's always willing to step up and help whenever needed, even if it's a crazy idea of a pumpkin roll. And often going above and beyond her assigned responsibilities to support both departmental operations and the community. She serves as the face of the Reidsville Fire Department with the community and has been with the City of Reidsville since 2019. She plays an active role in providing fire safety, education, fire prevention training to residents and school children throughout the area, which I've got to witness firsthand, and the children love you. She is also an important role model for young women considering careers in public safety. As the only female of her department of nearly 30 employees, she has earned the respect of her coworkers through professionalism, dedication, and willingness to work alongside her team. Will you please join me in welcoming the 2025 Employee of the Year Administrative Fire Chaplain, Ms. Macey Dixon.
First and foremost, I I'm grateful to my Heavenly Father for giving me the opportunity to serve such a wonderful community. I'm grateful for the team that I get to work with, not only just my department, but all across all departments. And I love this community, and I'll continue to serve and give everything that I've got. Thank you.
Mayor and council. Thank you.
We're certainly proud of you. Thank you.
She is everything that was read and then some.
Thank you.
And look at her husband smiling real big.
It's not very often that people come with their hero, but I raised mine.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Next, we have public hearings. First on the agenda, consideration of an ordinance to repeal the annexation ordinance for property off of Willow Street, parcel number 154216, Enclosure 1. Mr. Drew Bigelow, Planning and Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and City Manager Moore. Previously, you approved a couple of months ago an ordinance for this property located off of Willow Street. You have the memo I provided, so I'll just give you a brief synopsis of the circumstances that have occurred. After adoption of this ordinance, it was sent to the county to be recorded and to be mapped in the GIS system. At the time of mapping, the GIS manager for the county indicated to City of Reidsville staff that the legal description, the meets and bounds that were provided were actually inaccurate. When city staff went back and discussed this with the property owner who was making the transaction with his agent, they were involved with several dealings on Willow Street, and they just provided the wrong description for one of the parcels. They swapped them out inadvertently. So to correct this, we would like to repeal the ordinance that was previously issued. It has not been sent to the state yet, so we'll record over what was previously recorded with the county, and then should the applicant decide to come back and go through the annexation process again, they will have to start over from the beginning. This is just to correct that legal description that they inadvertently provided us by mistake.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, Mr. Drew.
Thank you.
The public hearing will start at 6:08. All those who speak for or against will have a 5-minute period to speak. Is there anyone who'd like to speak for? Is there anyone who'd like to speak against? We'll close the public hearing at 6:09. Any discussion? All right, do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to repeal the previously adopted annexation ordinance A2026-2 for the property located on Willow Street, parcel number 154216.
We have a second. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of the appeal, raise your right hand. Next item, consideration of a proposed operating budget for fiscal year 2026-2027 for the ABC Board. Enclosure 2, Melvin Hill, ABC Board.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Melvin Hill. I am representing the Reidsville ABC Board and presenting the annual budget for the fiscal year 26-27 in accordance with the North Carolina General Statute 18B-702, Financial Operations of Local Boards. This budget projects the operating costs required to maintain acceptable levels of customer service by projecting revenue through sales to fund the operating costs and provide distribution to our beneficiaries. The estimated sales for fiscal year 2026 is $3,438,000, minus the taxes on the revenue of $790,000, minus the cost of goods sold of $1,822,000, leaves a gross profit on sales of $825,300, minus our operating expenses of $677,450, minus the payment on a mortgage of $70,550, and then minus the distributions of $76,100. Just as information, the distribution is paid quarterly, but this is the annual figures and how we give it to the City of Reidsville. The City of Reidsville General Fund, we're estimating $42,000 this year. City of Reidsville Law Enforcement, $25,000. Reidsville Police Department for Alcohol Education, $2,100. Rockingham County General Fund, $3,000. Rockingham County Library, $2,000. Cone Hospital or Annie Penn, $2,000. This is an estimated annual revenue. We will pay it quarterly. The first 3 quarters will be an estimate, and the 4th quarter will be based on actual profits that we had that were distributed. And these percentages were established in November of 1965 when we first voted on the ABC stores. Any questions that I can answer for you?
Anyone have any questions? Thank you, Melvin.
Thank you, sir.
Public hearing will open at 6:12. All those who speak for or against will have a 5-minute period to speak. Is there anyone who'd like to speak for? Is there anyone who'd like to speak against? Seeing none, public hearing will close at 6:13. We will not have a vote on this because it's just an opportunity for them to have a public hearing. See the budget. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Next item, consideration of a proposed operating budget for fiscal year 2026-2027 for the City of Reidsville, including adoption of the budget ordinance and the resolution of understanding accompanying the budget adoption. Enclosure 3, Summer Moore, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the budget was presented, we've been working on it for several months. I know we originally started discussing this at our February retreat for 2 days. Then we also had another budget work session in April. And then the budget was proposed to Mayor and Council and the public on May 12th. So the proposed citywide budget for fiscal year 26-27 is $42,507,050 versus our current fiscal year 25-26 budget amount of $41,201,600. This is an increase of $1,305,450 or 3.17%, which is related to increased personnel cost and departmental operations. This proposed budget, some of the highlights, there is no proposed tax increase. The proposed tax rate is to remain the same, and there is also no proposed water or sewer rate increase. And with that, I'll turn it over for any questions because I know you've had some time to look at it.
Any questions?
One question. Our sales tax projection to increase, how do we base that?
So a couple of factors are taken into consideration. The first factor is looking at prior years and then where we are currently and projecting that forward. Based on where we are currently, we're satisfied with that projection for next year to increase it some. And then also, one thing of note too is it's a very helpful guide. Each year around February, March, the North Carolina League of Municipality puts out kind of a budget watch update for all municipalities, and it addresses things for municipalities and counties to consider as they're preparing for their upcoming budget. And that's, you know, any anticipation of POW bill. It looks at utility franchises. It also looks at what you should consider budgeting for sales tax. So that's another tool we use based on the league's projection of what they're seeing sales tax.
And have we been pretty accurate in past years?
We have. Our finance team does an exceptional job with those projections.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Manager, I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
On the personnel benefits, I know we talked about the 3% COLA. And then in place of the merit this year, we were looking at a bonus. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
In between the months of July and December? Do you know if it would be prior to being applied before the
COLA and pay plan?
No, the longevity. Yeah, thank you. Will it be two separate things?
It will be two separate things.
All right. Because I know that was one question that has come up before in years, that if you add it all, you get kind of hit kind of hard. So that's one of the things I wanted to check.
No, that's a great question. It'll be separate. And then also a thing to note, I know we've had several employees ask as well, because we are in the budget, it did propose a 3% COLA. Council was very gracious in looking at the career ladder, so it'll implement the career ladder. And it'll also look at the one-time bonus merit, and it also takes in consideration our pay plan. And I've got to give credit to our HR team and our finance department, trying to make sure employees are rewarded the most bang for their buck, and trying to make sure when we make those implementations, it's at that higher rate, so they see that in their paycheck.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? There are no more questions. We'll open the public hearing at 6:18. Anyone who would like to speak for or against the budget will have 5 minutes to speak. Is there anyone who'd like to speak for? Is there anyone who'd like to speak against? I'm going to get at least a minute in. We'll close the public hearing at 6:19. We have a vote on the ordinance establishing and authorizing the expenditure for year 2026-2027 for the city of Reidsville. And we have to vote on, is it two separate votes? Okay. Is there a motion on the ordinance?
I'd like to make a motion that the ordinance stand as read, as presented.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Next, resolution of understanding accompanying the budget adoption for fiscal year 26 2026-27. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the proposed budget for fiscal year 26-27.
Okay, we got a motion? And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank y'all for your hard work on it.
Next, we have public comments. Do we have anyone who'd like to make a public comment on tonight? All right, if not, we'll move on to new business. First item, consideration of possible increase to ABC Board compensation, Enclosure 4. Mr. Melvin Hill.
Again, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Melvin Hill. I am representing the Reidsville ABC Board and requesting the City Council to review the current compensation for the ABC Board. Compensation varies significantly across the state, from zero compensation to the state's maximum of $150 per meeting. The current compensation for a member of the ABC Board here in Reidsville is $50 per meeting. This was reduced in 2021 from $150 per meeting to $50 per meeting. We respectfully request compensation in the mid-range of $100 per meeting. The board meets once a month on the fourth Thursday of every month. Our responsibilities include the successful operation of a highly regulated business with annual sales of approximately $3.5 million. Keeping abreast with legislative changes and ABC Commission rules is one of our big responsibilities. We have to approve the budgets and the expenditures. We approve the audits and the financial reports. Manage profits and required distribution to local governments, law enforcement, and alcohol education programs. Authorize borrowing, investments, and property transactions. Hire and terminate employees. Appoint and supervise the ABC system manager. Attend board meetings and make decisions in the public interest. As members, we're very proud of our ABC store and strive to deliver excellent service to the citizens of Reidsville. To ensure you can continue to attract and retain qualified individuals for this board, we believe an increase in compensation is necessary. We thank you for the attention to this matter and opportunity to serve the citizens of Reidsville. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Hill?
No question, but a comment.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment that the ABC Board, they do have their own budget, and they are very responsible people. I know that they personally meet or go to the ABC Board to make decisions, to sign checks, to meet with people more often than just once a month. You know, and it's their budget, it's their money, it's not our money. The city doesn't have anything to do with paying the ABC Board members, and I think that the board members that we have now are exceptional, and I want to keep them, and when they leave and we have new board members, we need to make sure that we have compensation that makes people want to be on the board.
Anyone else have a comment? I'll echo what she says. We have a great ABC board.
Thank you.
Easy to work with, easy to communicate with, always there to help.
And they're very responsible. Have we ever heard any problems or complaints about our ABC store? None at all.
No.
I would like to make a comment that we are appointed by the City Council, and we do work with the City Council. You have the privileges of appointing us and terminating us.
And I'd like to make a comment. We've never had a problem that we needed to terminate anyone. and we've been very proud of those that do apply.
I think we're at the point of a motion.
I make a motion to accept the change in the monthly amount.
From $50 to $100. We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Next item, update on possible boat dock policy for Lake Hunt, Enclosure 5, Ms. Drew Bigelow, Planning and Community Development Director.
Thank you again. So a few weeks ago, on May 18th, we conducted a community meeting, we as in the planning staff, with the residents of Lake Hunt, those who share a property line with the lake itself. We sent out letters inviting them all to come to that meeting to just share some initial feedback. I know we've talked about this at your retreat back in February, and it's kind of been a discussion over the last several months. So we invited them to come and hear what staff had to say, to share some of the thoughts and opinions that council had with our initial conversation, and then to get feedback from the community. So discussion topics included the potential scope of allowable docks, boat storage, visual and environmental impacts, acceptable construction materials, and enforcement considerations as they would relate to the leasing of the land for the construction of docks and the maintenance of the docks. After talking to everybody for about an hour and a half, the consensus was that they wanted to take a conservative approach. So on the second page of the memo, I have outlined some of the very basic standards that we gathered from that conversation. I will go through them, and if you have questions about any single one of them, we can discuss in more depth. But as far as dock size is concerned, they wanted to keep it minimal. Some people were in favor of 1,000 square foot docks, others wanted to keep it 500 or less. So staff took the approach to meet in the middle and do about 700 square feet. This would be measured beginning at the portion of the dock that extends over the water. So any structure that is on land, on shore, would not be considered in that 700 square feet. For dock materials, they seem to have an aversion from metal aluminum docks. The consensus was that they get very hot and they're very bright. They can cause reflections across the water that would be not only unsightly to residents, but could disrupt wildlife as well. So they wanted to go with treated water composite materials for the dock structures. The dock style, I indicated that staff and council wanted to go with the floating dock style. They were in favor of that as well. They wanted to utilize metal or plastic pontoons, no foam floats, again for environmental reasons. Dock height, there were some residents who were pretty outspoken that they did not want to see structures with roofs. However, other people indicated they did want roofs, and to be able to install a lift, typically you have to have a covered dock structure. So staff looked at the height restrictions for the other districts we have. Most districts, it's a 35-foot height restriction, so we reduced that down to 20 feet. Looking at the height of some of the docks and covered docks that you see on other lakes, typically it's anywhere from 20 to 30 feet. So we took a more conservative approach there. As far as extension over the water, staff went with 50 feet. This would allow some areas that don't have as much frontage to still be able to take advantage of the opportunity to have a dock. This would include all access ways, dock structures, anchoring structures, and mooring devices. So everything related to the dock has to be built within 50 foot of the shoreline. Can't extend further than 50 feet. The general consensus was that they do want to allow slips, both single slip and multi-slip structures and boat lifts, but only allow one boat permanently moored or stored at the dock site. As far as accessory structures, staff proposed no accessory structures, such as dwelling spaces or boathouses to be attached to the docks. This is to prevent people from using them as accessory dwelling units, potentially renting them out short-term, among other things. The exception there is we would allow one 6-foot by 6-foot storage room for boat supplies. Frontage for the dock we imposed a maximum of a 25% total linear width in relation to the parcel. So if the parcel has 100 feet of frontage, the maximum width of their dock would be 25 feet, a quarter of that total. Dock setbacks, there was some concern from the residents that their neighbors would be building their docks directly on top of their property line. So we did impose a 10-foot setback for all structures from the side yard property line. That's in alignment with what we see throughout all of our residential districts. The minimum we have is 8, the maximum is 15. So 10 is right in the middle. Boat fueling was another large concern, particularly for environmental reasons. So we did determine, based on our discussion, that all boats must be removed from the water for fueling. There will be no on-water fueling. You'll have to take it out, put it on your trailer, and take it to be fueled. There were also considerations for wake standards. They wanted to implement no wake zones within 25 feet of the docks, and that was to prevent people, particularly the high-powered bass boats, was the complaint, from speeding past the docks and causing damage, which would increase maintenance cost on the citizens. So that was all I have as far as the standards that we heard from the public that they wanted us to implement. The next steps for staff would be beginning to draft a policy. We had drafted something before, but we kind of want to start over now that we've got this feedback and draft something to bring to you. We plan to have another meeting with the public probably late July, early August, so that we can bring it back to you towards the end of the summer. So if there's anything in that list of terms that stood out to you that we might need to have a discussion on, staff is open to your feedback as well.
I just had a couple questions on it.
Yes.
So the owners out there alongside the lake, so they haven't seen these suggestions yet, right?
These suggestions were made by the owners at the meeting.
You just put it all together?
I just put it into writing for you guys.
And as of right now, how many do you know of that are wanting to put a dock on their property?
It sounded like everybody was interested. We had a very large group of people that turned out. I think the list of names, I had a sign-in sheet. We had over 30 different groups of people, so couples or families or households. There are approximately 20 to 30 that stand to install a dock immediately upon adoption of this. They did not want to do a tiered system where we like raffle out or dole out over time who gets to build a dock first, a lottery system, that's the word I'm looking for. They wanted to just allow, the public to do it at their own leisure as long as they get the proper permits. So I think everybody is on board. I didn't hear any one person say, I don't want a dock, I don't want docks.
Okay, and the other thing, since you're getting ready to create the policy, have y'all decided how you're going to do a lease with them, or require just a pass, a yearly pass, or combine the two, or?
So we haven't combed through what a lease would look like. I do have to work with the human resources team to kind of figure that out, and then finance as well, and what a fee for that would look like. But the discussion did come up that we would include a annual pass to Lake Hunt in that fee, so that we're not double dipping. So some of the other lease options that I've seen, it's anywhere from a couple of $100s a year to a couple $1,000s a year, dependent on the space that you require. So I don't know if we would do a tiered system. I don't know if we'd have a flat rate. That's still open for discussion.
Thank you.
Do you have any idea what is the average size of boats that use Lake Hunt?
I do not. We don't have access to data on that. Just from my experiences utilizing Lake Hunt, typically what you see is a bass boat. The boat that we take out there is a bass boat. There are quite a few kayakers. I haven't seen as many pontoon boats, but the feedback we got from the public was that there are pontoon boats that access the lake. And there were some concerns about the large horsepower, 200 plus horsepower boats that fly up and down the lake. But generally speaking, I've only ever experienced bass boats out there. I don't know that we would have a way to collect that data. But we can certainly talk to the lake warden that's out there that patrols and get some feedback from him, see what his observations have been.
I was just wondering if some of the things that we talked about, like the structure height, things like that, would be adaptable to some boats that are out there.
I think based on the feedback that we got from the public, the consensus was that they don't see very many really large boats, so taking a conservative approach to the structure would accommodate most people. There's maybe an outlier here or there who, has a boat that requires a larger structure, and we can always discuss with that person the opportunity for perhaps a variance of some kind. But as far as general standards for the general populace who intends to use this, they seemed amicable to a conservative approach.
And you can, in your discussions, you can always look at what size motor you want to have out there. If you want to say your max is 150, I mean, we can do that due to the size of the lake. If that's something if they think that's going to be an issue out there, I don't know. Like you said, you'd have to research, see how many 200 plus or whatever size engines are out there on the boats doing that. It probably ain't many, if any. But that might be something you want to look at, to where if you need to put that in your rules or we need to change it, that the max is 150 or something out there.
Yeah, and that did come up in the discussion. They were concerned about the horsepower and the size of the boats. I don't know, what legal authority we would have to regulate that. I don't know if that would go through the entity who you register your boat with, but it's certainly something we could do some research on.
Any other questions?
It's a start, a great start.
I just want to say thank you for being open-minded and looking at this, with opening up the meetings to the local residents.
Of course, yeah. If it doesn't meet the needs of the residents, then what's the point of the policy? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, consideration of change to Section 10 standards for foundations, monuments, and markers of the Greenview Cemetery rules and regulations. Enclosure 6, Maurice Brothers, Public Works Director.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor Gorham, members of council, City Manager Moore. The Reidsville Cemetery Rules and Regulations policy was updated on April 23rd, 2026. Section 10, Block 24 is currently comprised of flat markers and uprights. The mausoleums that are currently in Greenview Cemetery are on the right side of Montgomery Street looking south, which I have a diagram attached. None are located on the left side as you look southbound. Request, staff recommends City Council approve that no mausoleums or any structure of size shall be installed in Block 24 that could obstruct the view of the flat markers and uprights in Section 10 of the Greenview Cemetery Rules and Regulations policy. Any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Brothers? No questions?
I'm sorry. So we go down to block 9, 10, and then we have a picture covering the next one. But are there 2 more blocks after that?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. So we're only talking about blocking the view of 10, but we're not the other ones. Not 11 or 12, I think that might be what it is.
Of the concern, yes, ma'am. Right now, we're just really concerned with just Block 24 itself. As you recall, there was some questions about that. I sent out a letter. But when we walked out there and viewed it with staff, we saw that we didn't want to impede that from a structured view. We walked it, and the ones that's currently in that block, we would like to try to keep that uniform as well.
Are the plots in 24 already all sold?
Not to my knowledge, not all of them.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but if anybody's in 24, they currently don't have a structure, they would just have a flat marker?
Yes, ma'am, or upright. Yes, ma'am. One of the two.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments? Time for a motion. What's the council's favor?
Mayor, I make a recommendation to approve that no mausoleums or any structure of size shall be installed in Block 24 that could obstruct the view of other flat markers or uprights in Section 10 of the Reidsville Greenview Cemetery Rules and Regulations Policy.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay. Next item, consideration of reimbursement to county for a $12,500 matching portion of building reuse grant for Joy Always located at 129 South Technology Drive, Reidsville, Enclosure 7. Mr. Montana Brown, Economic Development Director.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Madam Manager. Pleasure to see you guys as always. Thank you for being here. I'm here to speak with you guys tonight about Joy Always, a global hygiene products manufacturer that recently located to 129 South Technology Drive here in Reidsville. As part of their project, they have announced an $18 million investment in the creation of 113 new jobs, paying an average annual wage of $54,391. To support the reuse and upfit of the existing facility, the state of North Carolina awarded a $500,000 building reuse grant administered by the North Carolina Department of Commerce's Rural Economic Development Division in partnership with the Rural Infrastructure Authority. The grant is designed to assist with renovations and improvements necessary for the reuse of the 216,000 square foot building. This grant must be applied for by the local government and then administered through the evaluation of real property improvements and job creation. In this instance, Rockingham County was the applicant. As part of this process, the local government must also authorize a grant matching up to 5% of the building reuse grant amount. This equates to $25,000. Rockingham County is asking that the city of Reidsville cover half of this amount. Thus, this would leave the city of Reidsville's portion at $12,500. If council desires to move forward with this, we ask that a motion be made to reimburse Rockingham County up to $12,500 for the matching portion of the building reuse grant. This would be reimbursed post-performance and in accordance with the state's building reuse grant program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
I have a question. Have they already started on their building?
Yes, ma'am. So I believe, I can't remember the exact date they announced, but it was closer towards the end of 2025. They're now beginning, well, they've been hiring folks for the last several months. I believe production, at least early portions of it, has started relatively recently.
Or do you have any idea how many they've already hired?
Not off the top of my head, no, ma'am. Typically, these building reuse grants, they go over a period of 2 to 3 years, so they have to hire those folks within 2 to 3 years. I imagine probably at least close to half of it already. They'll probably look to potentially submit for reimbursement probably at the end of 2026 or probably mid-2027 would be my guess.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Is there a motion for Reidsville to submit their portion of $12,500?
May I make a motion to reimburse Rockingham County up to $12,500 for the matching portion of the building reuse grant. And this would be reimbursed post-performance and in accordance with the state's building reuse grant program.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, consideration of cleanup budget ordinance amendment for fiscal year 2025-2026. Enclosure 8. Some more city manager. Almost said some water.
It's okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So as we start a new budget in July, we also have to look at our annual cleanup for the current budget. So that's what's before you tonight, is our annual cleanup. So near the end of each fiscal year, a cleanup amendment is prepared to pick up smaller budgetary items that have occurred during this year. These items are collected for one adjustment rather than going to City Council time and time again for smaller amounts throughout the year. While some of the items seem insignificant, the related departments depend on being able to use the funds for the purpose given. In addition, some budgeted line items may have exceeded budget, and those funds are being utilized for current needs. Below is a listing of items totaling $634,549 for amounts that have been collected this year that need to be recognized. This corresponding expense accounts are shown for each item. And if you'll flip within your next page in the budget, you can see the breakdown of what those are. So again, this is just your annual cleanup for the current fiscal year, 25-26, as we will close out those books June 30th. So the suggested motion we're looking for is to approve the motion of the Budget Ordinance Amendment 7 to record fiscal year end budget cleanup items.
Any questions of Manager Moore? If not, do we have a motion for the cleanup budget?
Move.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Next item, update on 105 Gilmer Street, Enclosure 9, Mr. Bigelow.
Thank you again. Oh, we've been dealing with this one for a while. On March 11th, 2025, the Reidsville City Council heard a repair request for 105 Gilmer Street that was presented by former Planning and Community Development Director Jason Harden. At that meeting, council made the decision to delay any city-initiated or funded repairs to the property and rather requested that the property owner repair the damages themselves. The property owner had already applied for a building permit to repair the damage to the property on November 15th, 2024, but had failed to begin work within the allotted time, which is why you considered it at your March 2025 meeting. I've provided you with a timeline of events for your reference from that meeting onward, beginning with an inspection that was performed on March 28th of 2025, with no other inspections during that time. There were several communications between our building code administrator and the property owner during that same time frame towards the end of 2025, around September, going into October. It was concluded on April 7th of this year that no additional work had been completed and that the building remained unsafe and that the permit had thus expired due to a lack of work. It is not believed currently that the building meets the conditions necessary for condemnation or demolition. And to facilitate council's discussion on this item, staff has provided an initial repair quote from David Southard of Wright and Ray Building Company to do the repairs that were initially identified as necessary. This cost estimate comes in at about $30,750, and the scope of work is also provided. The scope of work includes consulting costs for an engineer for the structural design, repairing rot damage at the front entry, modifying existing eyebrow above the front entry door and completing that finish work, installing rot-free siding, trim, and ceiling above the front door entry and the storefront glass walls, making structural modifications and reinforcements per the engineer's recommendation, installing a new brick veneer, and adding caulking and roof tie-ins. And don't ask me what those are because I'm not the building code administrator. But it's a rather lengthy scope of work. Considering the information provided in this report and previous failure by the property owner to bring the structure into compliance, even though he did pull a permit, and the fire district considerations and non-residential maintenance code considerations, staff is asking council to reconsider their previous stay of the case. Staff requests direction on how to proceed due to the perceived urgency for repair. If you'd like, we can initiate gathering additional quotes if the city is open to the idea of spending funds on those repairs. If not, we would have to see what other options are available to remedy the situation.
Are we putting ourselves in a liability by setting this aside?
I think there are some safety concerns. What's been expressed to me by the building code administrator and fire chief is that there are some safety concerns. It is in a fire district. What's been done to the work does not meet the standards of the fire district.
Is Mr. Carpino in the picture at all anymore?
I have not heard from him.
But he still would, if we make the repairs, he still owns the property, correct?
To my knowledge, he currently still owns, well, Washington Street Holdings still owns the property. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor and council, if I may defer to the attorneys that are here tonight. I do know that there was some concern when we looked at this over a year ago about if a lien or anything was placed on the property, where would the city fall? So I do know that our attorneys had done some research on that. I think that that is information that you should be aware of. So I'll defer to Mr. McLeod.
So 160D-1129I1 treats any improvement that the city may make, repair, improvement, whatever, as a special assessment, and then it refers to how that special assessment is treated, and you jump to 160A-233, and the special assessments of lien against the property is superior to all liens except for prior and subsequent liens for state, federal, and local taxes.
So are there current liens on the property?
There was a deed of trust. I looked under Carpino property, all the LLCs, and I couldn't find any tax lien on record. That was a couple of weeks ago. It required an update, But, I mean, even if, there could be a tax lien at any time. There was not. He's owned this for forever, it seems, but there hasn't been any tax lien.
So my question is, if we make these repairs, can he come?
If there's a subsequent lien, then it's going to be inferior to that, but.
Right. Can he come back at any time and claim their property and do what he wants?
He can't sell the property or encumber the property if there's a lien that the city has.
But he could occupy it?
He could occupy it. It's like a tax, it's like a property tax lien, basically. I mean, it's going to be a lien against that property, and about a month since I looked at this one, I think it would be a lien on any other property that he holds within the city of Reidsville or within the ETJ. I don't know what else he may own, but again, but for the tax, federal, state, local taxes, it should be superior.
I understand about the tax lien, I just didn't know what position that puts us in. If he comes back and decides to occupy it or says, it's my building, when we've invested that money. And he doesn't ever sell it, we'll never get the money back. Correct?
I think you could pursue it. I mean, it's going to show up. Tim may be able to expound on this, but you couldn't. You couldn't make him abandon possession of the property.
Right. First of all, nobody's going to hold property forever. At some point, this property is going to get sold. And at that point, they would have to satisfy the lien, unless it only gets sold for the amount that it's the tax lien. I've got to think that when this property is sold, the lien will have to be satisfied at some point. There are procedures where you can pursue foreclosing the lien if you want to accelerate that process. You enforce a sale. Typically, I file liens all the time, and I can count on one hand I can count on one finger the number of foreclosures that I've actually been involved with. Usually, you don't have to go through foreclosure to get paid on a lien. Usually, he's going to want to do something with the property at some point, and his lender is going to want that lien off the property. So you'll almost certainly get. You have a lot of security. You have better security than anybody who's performing work on the property. They get a mechanic's lien, but they're going to be inferior to yours. So you're in a fairly good position, fairly secured position as far as the lien for this special assessment.
Thank you.
The only, I have a few things on this. I think everybody up here on this council knows how I feel about his property. I think I've made that clear on other meetings we've had. So going back to, let's talk about the beginning of this thing with when Jason Harden was here. When actually did the facade fall and have this damage? Do you know the exact date?
I don't have an exact date, but it was brought to staff's attention early to mid 2024.
So, here, you got the timeline down here, and I don't think that's everything of when we try to reach out for him to do something. And that's my whole issue is, if he don't care about his property, why should we care about his property? That's the way I look at it. He's had all the opportunity in the world to fix his property, and he hasn't. And then I'm sitting here looking at the Right Ray estimate. And most of it, if you sit there and look at it, it talks about front. Now, I've been around this property. I've walked in the alleyway to see the rear of this property, and there's no mention about the rear. Now, I'm not an engineer and I'm not a contractor, but it don't take rocket scientists to figure out this whole building is unstable and it's not safe. So the other question is with the inspections, inspection department, when those inspections were done, was it a front to back, a top to bottom inspection on this property before he starts trying to put Band-Aids on it? That was another question I had. I hadn't heard that. So what type of inspection was it?
Sure. I think at the time, I know there was an administrative warrant that was pulled to access the property. I don't know if it was executed or if we gained access through the property owner, but it was a walkthrough of the entire structure, is my understanding. I don't know that they did a walk around per se, but there was a walkthrough. And the quote that's suggested here is just based off the initial findings of that facade being unsafe. Mm-hmm. There certainly may be additional considerations at this point.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think that's what we need to look at, because I have seen it, and I just don't see how in the world that it could be rendered safe. Mm-hmm. And I'm one that I'm big about, restoring buildings, keeping old buildings and stuff. And I just can't see it. I can't see us as a city fixing his problem where we just put a lien on that property and then it's all fixed up. Now, I'm telling you, I don't think these figures here are numbers for the entire having to fix this property.
Certainly no, it's just for the facade.
So yeah. We're talking in the thousands of dollars to get this thing fixed. That's my concern. That's my issue from what I visually see myself. So unless the fire chief has something he can add to it, in opinion, please share it, because I'm not seeing
So yeah, I'll kind of piggyback off of what Drew has already presented. To be transparent, I think the initial process for this property started back in June of 2023. So it's been ongoing for quite some time. Our real concern right now is, building permits are valid for a year. Okay, and now that building permit has expired, and I can't speak on behalf of what the inspector, the lead inspector at the time, did when he went out on the initial inspection. But I know they did cite the violations that was discussed during the hearing that he and Jason Harden had with Mr. Carpino, in which he was present for. And to my understanding, Mr. Carpino agreed that the findings were in fact true, and he was going to pull the necessary permits and make all of the repairs to gain compliance. Mr. Carpino did come and pull those permits. He did start some work, but then he stopped. and that since has allowed his building permit to expire. Our main concern right now is we're not gaining any traction with Mr. Carpino, and the building continues to sit in very bad shape. And as you all know, downtown is really the heart of the city of Reidsville, and that building is in the heart of our city. We have a lot of adjacent buildings that it is attached to, and it is a huge fire and hazard safety concern that if something happens within the building, it could truly be detrimental to our entire downtown district. That's why these rules and these regulations and the maintenance code is in place. That's why we have designated this particular area to be designated as our fire district. And we try to work with people to the best of our ability. As you can see, because this has been going on since June of 2023, but now we're not gaining any traction. I don't have a formal or professional recommendation, but after talking with Bill and Tim a little bit, it seems like our lien would take priority. And if we go out and we do fix the building with taxpayer dollars, I feel like that it may help him market his building and sell it so that we can recoup the money, and that the building could be used in the downtown district by somebody with some positive intent, instead of it continuing to sit vacant and dilapidated and open and continue to be a safety and a fire hazard to not only him as the liability of the owner, but the general public and our downtown district.
I appreciate that, but I'm gonna tell you, 30,000 ain't it ain't. And we're talking about, we're gonna be in tens of thousands of dollars to fix this property up. And like I said, I'm all for maintaining and keeping property and you know, the structure of it, the history of it. But I think it's far gone. Whose fault is it? It's not nobody here. It's the property owners. So like I mentioned before, if he don't care about his property, why should we? And I understand what you just said about the down, but we got to fix it up. We got to fix his mess up. Well, that's going to take a while. And like I said, we're going into tens of thousands of dollars to do it. If you go and do a top to bottom, front to back inspection on this property, you're probably going to go in there and look and say, forget it. I just don't see it. That's the way I feel about it, and I have no problem pushing to condemn it and tear it down. I mean, I'm sorry, but the man's had ample time to fix it up, do it, don't want to do it, and I will not support the city. I just can't do it, us fixing his problem. I can't do it.
Yeah, I understand, and I think, you know, some additional concerns pertaining to the rear of the structure has also come up. But after conversation with staff and legal and the city manager, you know, we decided to pursue this initially and then move forward potentially with the rear issues after we get this addressed. Because we don't want to miss this opportunity to move forward, and then we get another building permit application in and it put us out another year, if that makes sense.
But he's never given us any intention, or we cannot trust anything that he says that he will do or will not do. And I think the city of Eden has had the exact same problems with buildings over there that we're having. And I think maybe we should consider another route other than repairing the facade of this building.
So Mayor and Council, if I may, and I know Chief, we had spoken a little bit, especially when those concerns was brought up about the rear of the building, because the pictures I've not personally been back there, but the pictures are concerning. Is that another route we need to look at, as far as do we need to, if council, it's certainly up to Mayor and Council, if they're not comfortable with this option that's proposed tonight, what is maybe a second option? Is it to go out and get an administrative search warrant and do the entirety of the building, as is kind of being said here tonight, because I don't know that it doesn't appear that it was done initially, the entirety of the building, because just looking at some of the pictures I've saw, the back of the building is concerning as well. So is that an option if council wanted to look at that as well? If they're not comfortable with option one, is an option two, and of course I defer to legal as well, to go out and get the building as a whole, since it does look like there's dilapidation significantly in the back?
Yes, I think that's correct. I think if you all don't want to approve the ordinance to make the repairs, then we would have to start the process from the very beginning again to go out to see if it meets the elements of condemnation.
I think that would probably be about the best route to take.
Which makes more sense to me.
So I think we're going to have to do something. This has been going on too long, and it's too many games that he's been playing with the city, and we should have already addressed this a couple of years ago, in my opinion. But you also, us as a city and us as a council, you know, if I was the adjoining property owners, I'd be ticked that this property's in this condition, and then I'm looking and like, we ain't even done anything about it. We're not even doing anything about it, because what if all of a sudden, tonight, in the middle of the night, the center of that building, because of all the rot and probably termite damage, cause it to collapse? What can happen to the adjoining buildings and the walls that it's attached to? And then we've done nothing but play games with him and extend permits that he's actually not done anything. That's the problem I have. That's what I'm irritated with. So whatever we need to do is expedite this thing. We need to do it. We don't need to drag our feet. I'm tired of looking at it. I'm tired of the games being played. Whatever we have to do by law, we need to do it. If we have to condemn it, then bring it before us. We push it. It is what it is. But we cannot keep dragging this thing out for another 2 years or whatever it can take. I can't support that. I just can't.
And I think it sets a very bad example for the city of Reidsville when the other businesses, you know, are complaining about it and they see that nothing's getting done. You know, and the attitude is, why should I worry about my building? Look at that one over there.
How soon would we be able to get this taken care of? The administrative search warrant and all that?
I'll let Tim speak on the legal ramifications around the things related to the project, but we would certainly have to start the process at the very beginning again.
Yeah, that's, what I'm hearing is everybody's disappointed and about the time this has taken. And I understand the sense of urgency about wanting to do something now. But what I want everybody to understand is and what Chief Farmer was saying is that what you're proposing essentially is starting over. You know, you're kind of at the end of a process here where he's gone through his appeals to the city over the original request, and you know, the city issued an order requiring him to make these repairs and issue permits. He got a permit and allowed it to expire. You know, so you're kind of at the end of that process now, and what Chief Farmer's suggesting is make the repairs that he was ordered to make, you know, a year ago or 2 years ago, and understanding that that's not a full solution to this building, because we expect there's been some other deterioration since then, and maybe some things that weren't even caught on the initial inspection. But if you're giving up on that approach, you really are starting over, and you may be creating some opportunities for, you know, for more appeals by him, and for more opportunities for him to repair. You know, think about this, the situation we had with Penrose Mall a year ago, that we started this process. We're back to starting over. And if he's uncooperative, then you know, then we'll be here a year from now or 2 years from now.
So
and our remedy is going to be the same thing. It's going to be, do we demolish this and put a lien on the building for our cost of demolition, or do we repair it and put a lien on it for our cost of repair, or do we not spend the money? Just taking the action that Chief Farmer is recommending and that Ms. Bigelow is recommending does not mean that this is the end of it, or that you can't pursue an administrative search warrant down the road to deal with whatever's inside the building or whatever's on the backside of it. But it's, you know, if the intent is to force some action, you know, saying, well, we're at the end of this road and we're not going to do anything, is probably not the solution, because what you're proposing really is starting all over again. You know, taking the action that Ms. Bigelow is recommending and Chief Farmer are recommending will be some action. It's not going to be a full solution for the building, but it doesn't preclude you from pursuing, you know, these more detailed remedies.
Will put us in a safer spot too, won't it?
It puts you in a safer spot, right? If we know the facade is dangerous right now, then at least we get that danger out of the way.
Mayor and Council, may I ask, Mr. Wyatt, may I ask you a couple questions, maybe just for clarification, not to put you on the spot, and Mr. McLeod as well. Maybe question number one would be, one of the concerns may be if council doesn't take some approach tonight, the property owner could easily go tomorrow and start a building permit, correct? Open up a new one, and this could delay this even further. Is that one concern I'm hearing from staff? And then my second question is, what options, like, so if council did want to take this path tonight, is that they're not approving this quote, correct? Is this just, this is a preliminary, we're going to start moving down this path. It's not writing a check tonight or tomorrow for the proposed $30,000. Is that correct? Maybe because could you start down this path and then in addition to that, you do the second part to behind the building? Is this truly committing council to that $30,000 tonight?
I felt that from the discussions we've had that this was just an initial quote to give you a rough estimate. Certainly we would, procure other quotes and hire the best fit for the job based on their qualifications and also the cost of their services. But it would pertain, it's my understanding, just to the portion that he's already been cited for. And if we chose to look at the other portion, we would open a case against the rear or the interior of the structure. And something that I was trying to mention over here on the sidebar with Chief Farmer was that if it would help to satiate some of your concerns, we could potentially conduct another inspection just to make sure that it's not condemnable.
That's my whole point, is whatever process we need to take. And I'm telling you, I'm against spending a dime on this guy's property. But if we need to push, and legally we can do it on condemning it, what do we need to do that? Is that where you open up an inspection or an administrative search warrant to go in and check from top to bottom, front to back?
Yeah.
And that's when it's deemed condemnable?
You start the process from the very beginning, okay?
So tell me, when you say beginning, tell me what you're talking about.
So you have to go out, you have to put the property owner on notice, you have to go out, do the inspection, you have to hold the hearings, give them a chance to be present, to present their own evidence. You have to jump through the entire process from start to finish. And then, it's kind of like Summer said, if he comes in and he applies for another building permit since his has expired, that building permit stays active for 12 months. If he starts work within 6.
We're looking at another year.
So he can certainly drag this out even longer. My concern when we started reviewing this project, because I was not initially involved with it, I don't think at the time the initial inspection, when it was conducted, that the property was condemnable. I think it was just a concern about the front facade material decaying and falling off of the building. But when they went in to do the inspection, the interior elements and structural elements of the building were pretty much intact and okay. It just did not meet the maintenance code requirements for the exterior facade. So I don't know, with the openings being left open for the period of time that they have been open, has allowed some of the interior elements to decay and deteriorate, which would maybe allow us to condemn the building. I don't know. But my concern was at the time, I don't think it met the condemnation elements.
Well, when that initial inspection was done, when the whole front fell off, when the inspection was done, when Neil was here, do you know, did he have a file? Did he take pictures? Did he go in? Was anything like that done?
He did. He had a file.
Did y'all see, did he take pictures of the damage?
I think there were some photographs taken.
But you don't know if there was any that would indicate what the rear of the property looked like?
No.
Okay.
Since he hasn't met any of this that we've talked about, can he not be fined?
We don't currently have any civil penalties associated with these type of violations.
The remedy has always been that we either demolish it and place a lien for cost, or we repair and place a lien for cost. The consideration from council is, do you want to demolish it and potentially have a vacant parcel there where someone would have to come back in and build something that might be less appealing to someone looking to purchase a structure downtown? Or do you want to put the money into fixing it with the hope that it would sell? That's the conundrum that you face.
And the timeline, Chuck, our lead building inspector, he can speak to the process of acquiring the building permit, the amount of time they have to start work, the amount of time the building permit is valid. So he could give you a more realistic time frame of that process.
Sure, I also wanted to, during my inspection, when you went out for the front facade inspection, before all of this began, he had another building permit on that property to turn it into a multifamily residence. And there was a significant amount of interior modification done at that point. So we're not starting from the original structure. We're starting from that modification. At the time of that inspection, I would say that it would not meet the qualifications to condemn the building structurally. Not saying that we haven't had deterioration from that point due to it being open to the elements. I guess it's going to be up to y'all. At any point, he could pull a building permit and say he's moving forward, and we really couldn't stop him if that's what he did. So if he did that, we would be looking at another year of no activity before the permit would go expired.
And then when it expired, we'd be right back where we are now.
Yes. Right. It sounds like this isn't a great situation. If we demolish the building, we're still investing money in that structure one way or another. We're still going to have a lien on it. I think at the end of this solution that we're proposing, at least the property is sellable at the end of our investment.
What would be the approximate cost of demolition?
If I had to say more than $30,000, likely there's going to have to be a significant structural engineering taking part just to make sure we don't affect the adjoining properties.
See, that's what I'm saying. You have the numbers of 30,000 and some change just for the front.
Yes.
So you go in there, you're opening up a box and go, holy crap, we're going to have to invest 150 grand to fix the whole thing up, to even make it, even if we go that route, to make it safe for him to even take it and lease it out if he wanted to lease it or sell it, because you don't know what the surprise is going to be at the back.
I'd say our end goal isn't to completely fix the property, only to fix the most desperately needed portions, beginning with the front, to make it safe for the public and to get our fire district with no combustible exterior.
My concern is we have other buildings in town that are not near in that shape.
Sure.
And we can't sell them. So why do we think we're going to be able to sell this one that's going to need a heck of a lot of work?
We have lots of bites on other properties, and we just haven't found the right person yet. We also have sold some properties, and this could have been one of them. It's just not a good presentation the way it currently sits.
Well, if we started at ASAP, what are we looking at? Even if he comes and pulls a permit, what are we looking at the process if it's something we just need to push to condemn it? Or, I'm talking about we started or whatever, you go in,
when you say
inspect the whole building to see if it's structured, if it's condemnable. That's where I'm getting at. What's the process for that? But time would it be?
That could be a parallel path. The front is its own issue. I don't think it has to be either or. Can it be both?
Sure, yeah. It's my understanding you could do this for the front.
Yes.
And then pursue a secondary solution for the rest of the structure. You do run the risk there, just to be transparent, that you put money into fixing the front, and then we do find that the structure is condemnable, and you want to go that route.
I think the administrative search warrant shouldn't be a big issue. We have probable cause through the open of the rear structure that maybe it needs to be evaluated. But I wouldn't foresee that being a big deal.
I think we should start there.
But yeah, before we drop a dime on anything.
And Bill and Tim, can y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what's being presented tonight is what was presented to him in the hearing, what he has been put on notice for. So this is the only thing that is being considered tonight. Anything outside of this we would have to start a different process for.
Parallel.
Yeah.
So, just, when you want to pursue condemnation, I think you got to think about what's the end goal that you're looking at. Is it to, if the building is condemned, you're looking at similar remedies. Is that, he's probably not going to repair the property on his own. So you condemn the property. That means it can't be used. But then the city's still assuming that the owner is not going to pay the money to demolish it or repair it. You're still looking at this situation. If you're pursuing condemnation, you're still looking at the city investing money in this property, one way or the other. So, yeah.
But it's a better option than we play these games with him, because we could be another 3 years dealing with this thing, and this thing's sitting in that same situation.
I understand that frustration, but
Again, all it is a game, is what he's been doing.
It has been a game. You're at the end of the game right now,
Yeah.
and you can end the game, or in the first stage of the game by going through with it, or you can start the game over. And I think that's the option that the council has.
If we vote on this option and we start it, can he come back while we're doing it and get a new permit? Would we have to stop then, or would we continue our work?
That's gonna be, I don't know.
I don't know what their procedures are, but Mr. Carpino pulling a new building permit would not stop, an action that the city is undertaking. Maybe it would be great. Maybe the city starts and he goes and pulls a building permit and he says, no, I'll take care of this work. You don't have to. And maybe the city could step aside and keep an eye on it, and maybe then the city doesn't incur the cost of making these repairs if he pulls a new building permit. But at least then you'd have the option of taking it over if he doesn't.
Which is what he said last time.
But you didn't have the authority to take it over last time, and now you would.
May I ask one more maybe legal question going back to pulling that building permit? So let's say if council did decide they wanted to move forward with this action, does that prevent him, kind of going what Ms. Scoble just said, to take it a step further, does that prevent him from, if they agreed to do this tonight, could that property owner come in here tomorrow, once they've agreed to go down this path, and pull a building permit?
Again, I don't know the answer.
That's a little gray.
And that may just depend on the city's procedures, but the thing is, if the city takes action, I don't think that he can stop the city's action by pulling a permit. Like I said, maybe that would be great if the city takes action.
Does that 1 year time limit start again once he pulls that permit?
For him to complete whatever work that he's pulled a permit for. He would have 1 year to do it, but that wouldn't mean the city can't proceed with the work that it's undertaking.
See, what I'm afraid of is we pass this, we go in and start doing the work, then he comes back, pulls a permit, and he's the one that benefits from the work that we're doing, not, It is a quandary.
It is.
There's no easy answer.
Your investment is secured by a lien. That's the best. You're not taking over the property, so the city's not going to profit from it. And sure, the private owner might one day, make some money off this due to the improvements. But the city's investment is secured by the lien.
We're guaranteed to get our money back.
And presumably, presumably the city would benefit from the fact that downtown is improved.
The lien would only be for the amount of money that we had to invest.
Sure.
That would never change, even though the value of the building changes or whatever.
I don't know about that. There might be interest on the lien. I'm not, after it's perfected, I'm not sure.
And last, I'll add, Tim did say he could count on one finger the number of liens he's foreclosed on. I think that is still an option in the future.
It's not, but liens have tremendous persuasive power on property owners to get problems taken care of. It's once property owners realize that you can touch their property ownership, it seems to seems to create action. You know? So I know there's interest in creating action. And
What's the value of the property? Do you have any idea?
I don't know what it would sell for.
Would the lien be put on when we start or when we finish?
Well, you don't know what you spend until you finish. But I think it would relate back to when you start.
Can I say one thing? Sorry. Obviously, safety is the most important thing here for the general public and the community at large. But one thing I also want to point out to you guys is we are a Main Street accredited community. That is something that we tout very much so. That is something every single one of you say that you're very proud of. I just want to point out that if you do decide to demolish this building instead of trying to preserve it within your historic or a national historic district downtown, you do put us in jeopardy of losing that Main Street accreditation. Additionally, just from an economic development standpoint, it is much easier to move this building with the structure already there and just improving the facade, which is what is being proposed right now, is going to make the street look that much more attractive for future investment for people that already started business, people that are trying to sell buildings there, lease buildings there. I think it's a first step moving towards the right direction, again, for safety, for the appearance, and also showing that the city is essentially putting its money where its mouth is and helping protect the investment of the businesses and the property owners downtown as well.
And if we do tear the building down, we'll have gaps just like we've got. Yeah. We did something with one of the gaps. We got Kelly's Way. We got a gap on down Scale Street, right across from where you used to be.
From the park.
And then we've got the gap that's right beside my brother's record shop. So we're just going to develop another alleyway. Right. And we had a similar situation with the building that's right across from my brother's shop, where they used to have the nightclub. That was almost demolished too, but we did what was right at that time, and that building is still in place. So I think we need to do what's best for the city.
Yes, yes.
Even though it's a little painful, but we need to do what's best for the city. And I agree with what Montana just said.
Yeah, that makes
Well,
good
another option
sense.
would be is why don't we just look at purchasing the property? Didn't one time he want to sell it?
That was mentioned, yes, sir.
I mean, if we're going to try to start sinking in money into a hole to fix downtown that he obviously don't care about doing, is that an option that we want to look at? If we're going to have to, sink money into it, if he decided he wanted to sell it to the city, what legality issues are there?
Well, think about it this way: if you have a lien on the property that's worth $30,000. Anybody buying the property, Mr. Carpino has to sell it for at least enough to pay the taxes and enough to pay off your lien. So you would down the road potentially be in a position to buy this property at a better rate than others because you're essentially paying yourself back for your lien, for your piece of it. So it's not a decision you have to make now, but having the secured interest in the property maybe makes it easier for the city in the future if it decides it wants to go that route. You could get it essentially cheaper than everybody else because you're not having to overcome your own lien to pay yourself back, if that makes sense.
That's a good deal.
And Mayor and Council, I did look it up. The current tax value that Rockingham County has listed is $26,011.
Why don't we offer him $26,011?
I did look where he had, or someone had it listed in 2022 for $186,000, and it's been removed.
I'm not going to say what he will and won't accept, but last asking price, last time I heard, was around $200,000.
That explains it. So if we decide to go this route with the repairs that you mentioned, how does that even start on the power that we have to even start that? To just go in and do the repairs. What is that? How does that lay out? We go in there. Are you going to have to do an inspection before we start doing repairs? And you see, okay, yeah, we can do this front, but we start working on the front, you go in and do an inspection, and you're like, there's nothing holding up this wall back here. It's completely gone. That's what I'm trying to comprehend is if we're all sitting up here, we want to go this route with $30,000 to fix the front, how do we get in there to start fixing it? What legalities are involved as a city? We go in, we're not getting permission from him, we're taking it out. How does that work? What are we looking at? How does
An
that even play?
administrative search warrant shouldn't be a big deal, and we can go in and evaluate the
That's the first thing you're gonna do.
structural soundness of the rest of the building and ensure that the repair is a viable alternative. I think once you've approved it and we've decided we're going to go down that route, I think we probably have to have 3 bids. I'm not sure.
At that point, once the city approves it, I mean, you're looking at this like any other contract. You have a design professional look at it and come up with plans, and yeah, probably need 3 bids. Although this might be beneath this might be below the limit of requiring 3 bids. We'd have to look at that. But
if we approve this, he goes in to do the inspection,
sure.
and he comes back and says, it's not even worth it.
Sure. I mean, an engineer could look at it and just say, you can't do this with just the minimal fix that you've proposed. It needs more. That's entirely possible.
So even if we approve it, that's found out that so this 30,000, what we approve next, it's over.
That's what I'm understanding you are saying.
Come back.
I don't know that there's any reason why you couldn't proceed with a partial project that you're asking city council to approve tonight, right? There's no reason we couldn't necessarily proceed with that, but for it to ultimately be occupied, an engineer might say that there are other things that have to be fixed before this can be occupied.
It's my understanding that if that happened, we would bring an amended repair ordinance back to you, letting you know what we found, in our search, in our discovery.
You could come back after you do your thing and say, well, it's not 30,000, it's 150 now.
Right. Yep, and these are the other things, but depending on what additionally we find, it speaks to, again, we have to start that process over. Because what we went through in the beginning was just for the facade. So if there are additional costs related to the facade, we just bring you back an amended repair ordinance. But if we find issues that are unrelated to the facade, that are unrelated to the initial violation, then that would be a violation of its own that we'd pursue secondarily.
I think we should start with that inspection, and that would give us an idea of what we're getting into and where we can go from there.
I don't think that we could just go out and do another inspection without starting the process from the very beginning again.
Start all over.
At least not an inspection for new items. I think you could probably take a look
Now,
at the facade.
we could draft a repair ordinance to be presented to you all for approval and then solicit bids potentially from contractors to make the repairs or what's already been stated from the findings of the hearing to bring the property into compliance, okay, and then move forward with the repairs. But it's not like the building inspectors would go back out and conduct another inspection of the entirety of the property or the structure to determine, I guess, additional items that have not been cited already.
I think we need to listen to the coach who's given us some good information here so that we don't have to start all over again. That's right. It's just going to make matters worse if we do.
Can I ask one more clarification point? I'm sorry. So I kind of do see what Mayor and Council are saying, but just to kind of reiterate, I guess, for some more clarification. So let's say that you do go forward with this option that's presented here tonight, and you also concurrently go out and you start looking at the rear, since we've got concerns about the rear from citizens, correct?
Yes.
If you start that process, I think what the question is, why would the city, if you come back, I know there are 2 separate processes, right? But at some point when those 2 processes are moving together, and if that backside was in more need of repair, why would the city then pay that $30,000 when you got a whole calamity in the back?
Yes.
I
think that is the question. And how does that work? Like, I understand it's got to be two separate processes. So this is to tackle process one, but before the city goes out there, and it's like you said, you could do bids, because this is just an estimate, but can you also concurrently go and do an investigation on the back of that building and just make sure, the city hasn't solicited a bid, accepted a bid, invested this money, and then we find out in 6 months that the whole back half is not salvageable, or it's $100,000 to replace. I think that needs a little bit, to me, I need more, as your manager, I need more clarification on that point.
My question is, if we decided to do this and we started it, and then we find that out, we have the option to just quit. We don't have to finish the project.
So I think that it's possible for this to be two parallel paths. We have the path we're currently on, the one we want to bring to a conclusion tonight, where we approve to move forward with the repairs to the front structure. As a parallel path, we can begin pulling an administrative search warrant, gain entry to the property, perform an inspection on the rest of it as a completely separate item, to keep it separate from this front facade repair. And if it were noted in that inspection that the structure was severely compromised, then of course we would bring that before you, and we wouldn't go forward with the other repair. We would pick another path. I don't think we're hard on one or the other. I think we can do both.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
Is that good, Tim?
Yes, that's, I'm sorry, that's what I had in mind. I didn't say it as clearly as Chuck did.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion then that we do it Chuck's way and Tim's way.
I second that.
Any discussion?
We've had that.
Okay. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
I'm sorry.
Can't keep up with us?
Could you repeat that, Chuck?
We're going to do both pathways, approve of the front repair and move forward in that direction, and I am going to work on pulling an administrative search warrant to review the property inside structurally for its current status.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, who did the second on that?
I did.
Just to make sure. Thank you.
Now, with your inspection and stuff, will you have to get an engineer with you if you see, or have him come in or anything like that?
I'll just pull a search warrant, go in, perform the inspection, and use my authority to review the structural deficiencies.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
Okay,
All right, we vote.
I don't know.
All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Just make sure, okay.
Okay. All right. Next item is city manager's report.
Mayor and Council, I'm sorry, that was a tough one. I had to wrap my head around that one too. So I do have just some updates and some consensus I do need to get from council on a couple items. So a couple updates first. We're really excited. Friday, July the 3rd, Independence Day event from 5 to 9 p.m. at Lake Reidsville. Music by the band is Something for the People. And then Saturday, July the 4th is our Independence Day Parade at 10 a.m. in downtown Scale Street. This event is presented by Rocco is Home Foundation and is sponsored by the city of Reidsville. Now, if you have questions about it, or just kind of a note to those who may be interested, how to participate. The actual parade will be starting at 10 a.m. The cost of registration is $25, and registration will be taking place through a Google form shared by Rocco is Home. It is accessible through their social media page as well as through the Team Reidsville Facebook page. Also, if you have questions, you can call City Hall and speak with Montana Brown or Chase Lemons and his team, and we can get you that information if you're interested in participating and you're not comfortable going through social media. Next one is the Penthouse. The Penthouse is hosting a murder mystery event titled Till Death Do Us Part on Friday, August the 28th from 6:30 to 9:30. The cost to attend is $40 a person, a player, and $20 per participant. So I thought that was a unique idea, something kind of different for the Penthouse to try. Also, the RDC, the RDC's Main Street Mural Initiative is moving forward with its first installation at the rear of Rockingham County Public Library, making an important step in the board's broader efforts to enhance downtown Reidsville. Following review of 7 artist submissions, the RDC board unanimously awarded the project to Mary Ryan. The mural design will feature a book-themed mural incorporating the message "Shop Local, Support Local, and Love Local, Reidsville, NC," reinforcing community pride and downtown support. The total project cost is $2,600, which includes a protective UV coating to extend the life of the artwork. The Reidsville Area Foundation has committed to funding 50% of this project, with the remaining funds available through the Main Street budget. The RDC Main Street Board remains energized and committed to advancing their investment. The next item kind of needs some consensus from council. So Lake Hunt Master Plan meeting. So this was one thing through our American Rescue Funds. Council wanted to set some funding aside to look at a recreational plan for Lake Hunt. So we would like to propose a community lake day at Lake Hunt on Saturday, July 11th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It would feature representatives from McGill Engineering. They are the ones who would be overseeing the master plan. They would be collecting community feedback on what the community would like to see at Lake Hunt. We would also have Stormwater Smart and City Parks and Rec Department representatives would also be in attendance, and we're working with DARBA and Rockingham County to confirm their attendance. If we're able to secure DARBA, they would host a lake paddle event, and we provide hot dogs and Kona ice for the attendees. We would like this to be a free day, so that's the consensus I was looking for you, because I know Lake Hunt is typically bypass only, but we would like a consensus from council if you're okay to have that as a free day at Lake Hunt to come out and allow us and McGill Engineering to solicit feedback from the public. A lot of our teammates have worked really hard on this event, but we didn't want to keep moving unless we had your blessing on this.
I like it.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because a lot of people don't know anything about Lake Hunt.
Exactly.
Thank you for that. So we will start marketing for that and get that out there to encourage people to attend. The next one I want just to bring to your attention from our meeting last month. So J.C. Ballfield Public Input Meeting. We will have a public input meeting next Tuesday, June 16th, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. here in City Council chambers. This is a public meeting and everyone's invited to attend. Our team was able to work with some of the participants who came last month just to see what some dates and times worked. We did a doodle poll, and the majority of those who were in attendance last month said that this was one of the dates that worked best for them. We've also tried to spread the word that it is a public meeting open to any and all who wish to come and speak on what they would like to see for the former Lucky's Field, and then also our reservation policy. And of course, council is definitely invited to come and attend as well. The next one I wanted to talk about is we need some direction from council in reference to Oaks Park. So it had been mentioned at last meeting about Oaks Park. So I've included some pictures in your packet, but I just want to go over this. So city staff met on site at Oaks Park on May 28th. And I would recommend the city smooth out the current field and make minimum improvements to this field, as this field is in the middle of a residential neighborhood. And speaking with our Public Works team, for approximately $1,000, the city can clean and smooth out the field. City staff did meet with the lighting company, MUSCO Lighting, and they prepared a quote to do commercial grade lighting there, anywhere from $140,000 to $320,000. I would not recommend installing lights at this park, since the neighbors would be significantly impacted. I've attached pictures from the neighborhood so you can see how close homes are to this ball field. Also, parking would be a concern if you were to try and turn that into a more of a commercial grade field. But if you will look, the first pictures you'll see are some of our vehicles, and I mean, that, where I was standing, I think I was on the pictures now. And I mean, you're right there. I just think it's certainly the discussion and will of council, but I just wanted to make you aware, if those of you, if you had or had not visited Oaks Park, it is in the middle of a residential neighborhood, and I do think if council were to make these significant modifications, those neighbors would be significantly impacted. But I do think in talking with Public Works, and as you can see, the next picture, kind of that's the existing field, but we could do some minimum modifications, typically take about 2 days for $1,000 and at least clean it up and smooth it out. Now, if council, if you want us to go a different path and look at more of a commercial grade, we're certainly open to doing that. I just wanted to make you aware of what we found so far and kind of the neighborhood that could be impacted by that.
My question is, since it is in a neighborhood, what about fencing? If a ball goes across the street and breaks somebody's window, or a car window, or...
And you could, the way this field is angled, I don't know of a fence that you could put up that would prevent that, I'll be honest. I don't think you could build one high enough because the way that field is angled towards those houses. I think that this field, and I'm certainly, not as inclined to some of our staff who's been here, and probably some of our officials, especially Mayor Pro Tem, but I think the whole purpose of this field was just a community field for people to go out there and play. That is a concern, Ms. Scoble, is I honestly don't know after evaluating that field if you could put a fence up high enough to stop a ball.
It was like,
For Little League?
it was like just one of the neighborhood parks. During the time that I was coaching football, we used to go down there and practice, and we weren't from the neighborhood, and they let us know that we weren't from the neighborhood. And it would be a good idea to do that.
So the request, I'm assuming y'all are getting requests to use the field, is it more for practice, or are they gonna hold games?
Yes.
More for practice?
But at the youth level, practice. So they're less likely to hit the ball hard enough to be able to impact those.
The ages you're talking about is what?
I would say 10 and under, maybe, or maybe not even that old. Maybe
Could be T-ball too?
Yes.
So
Probably be great.
I would say my feelings is we as a city spend the money to fix it up, make it look nice, to get the lights. I mean, I'd be mad if the lights was blaring in my living room right across the street, which is what you're gonna have. The other fields we have, I don't think we have that issue because we got trees and stuff that block it. But I don't see why we couldn't spend a little money to fix it up, and if we need to fix the backstop up and look at replacing, if it's too rusty or something, I don't think that costs that much either. And I'm sure you can get those fences that you can manually put up,
for the outfield.
correct? For the outfield.
Yeah.
If we needed to, but I'm fine with it.
I don't know if you've mentioned this yet, so I'm sorry to step out for a second, but it doesn't even really have I'm not a baseball guy, but when you're looking in the outfield, you count it right field, center field, left field, right. So right field, you don't even have a true right field. You don't even have right. I think the brush or the wood start probably 20 yards from first base. So it's not even really an outfield, a right field. So it's clearly something, once we fix it up, for T-ball and some younger people. And then not to mention, no place to park. It's just a lot there.
It'd be up and down the street.
Right.
It would be. As you can see in the photo we attached, where you see our vehicles, that's exactly how the public would have to park, because there is no designated parking. And speaking about the lights, I think we did notice that the only light was maybe a street light.
Just a couple of street
So,
lights.
I mean, you would, any type of lighting, if council wants to put out there, you are going to impact that neighborhood.
That is a very close-knit neighborhood, and they have their eyes on it.
Right.
I think you just spend some money to fix it up, and then you just utilize it if it's just for teams looking to practice T-ball games, that type thing.
That consensus of council, we can move, I can get our team to work on that.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Mayor and council, that concludes my report. I appreciate it.
Diane, we'll let you go next.
All right. Good evening, everybody. We do have several things coming up, but I also have, it's been a while since I've given you kind of other updates, so I did have a short list. And Ms. Angel, I'm sorry, there are a few things that are not on there, but we'll just run through a few of the things that we have. We do have the countywide chamber after hours. That is all three chambers coming together to an event that is hosted by Rocoa's Home Foundation. Do really want to support them. They are the folks who are hosting the 4th of July parade for us, and they're just doing a lot of, they did the chili cook-off, and those ladies are doing a lot of great stuff. So that is on June 25th from 5:30 to 7:30. It is at the Eden River Rooms, which is the former Eden Mall. So I hope that if you are around and in town, you can come out and join us. Also, we have our ice cream social coming up, and I don't know how you all want to handle it, but I did just email you ladies. We have a sheet again, and you may remember this from previous. It's easier for us, like if you guys just write down everybody who's coming, or you can send me an email, but if you all want to attend, it is open and it is free to everybody, but it is a ticketed event. You have to be a chamber member or a family member of an employee. But it's all chamber members, all their employees, all their families, and it is free. But you do have to have a ticket to get in, because we're going to do Firsty's Pizza, and then as in tradition, we've kind of gotten away from the homemade ice cream, but we do have people who are bringing ice cream and toppings. So we'll be at Lower JC, and we're excited to be there and be at the Splash Pad. So that is on Thursday, July 16th. This is 4 to 7, but I think we went back today. It's supposed to be 4:30 to 7:30, so we'll correct that there. We do have a few ribbon cuttings coming up. Really excited about Ink and Ivy. You know, they have not stopped. They have been just revolving door, and it's really exciting to see. But we're going to have their official ribbon cutting on June 16th at 9 a.m. And then also another downtown ribbon cutting will be Reaper Sports. And I'm sure you guys have seen all the great work Grady is doing in there, but we are really excited. You know, having the ability as a parent I have 3 children who play 3 different sports, being able to come somewhere in town and purchase used equipment, new equipment for all the sports and all the things, but also I have a closet full of equipment that I will be bringing to him for store credit to trade in and get other things. And it's just a really big need. And I am tickled because I also feel like, and I'm sure Montana and Chase feel this way too, but it's going to bring families and men downtown, which is going to be really awesome. So that's on the 31st at 12 p.m. And we do have several new members. I won't call them all out, but they are listed there for you. I do want to remind you there's no coffee in July because of the ice cream social. But a few other things that are pretty exciting. We did just confirm a after hours that is going to be a speed networking event, and we're very happy that Brightview will be hosting that. They were looking for a way to talk to people about their facility and to meet with businesses since they're outpatient. They felt like we could maybe partner together and the chamber could let businesses know about their services, because that's a way to keep people working but still help them with the problems and the things that they're having. So that's going to be on July 30th at the chamber, but that's all the details I have right now. But I think it's going to be a fun time because we're going to do just prompts and do it just like speed dating, but it would be speed networking. So I think that's going to be fun. Also, big change on our calendar. If you had our calendar for the year, we have moved the Everything Expo to October 7th. It is going to be that following week because we found out that the Envisions event that is being hosted by RCC is that week before. So we want to be sure that everybody knows about that, and there's more to come. Also, the golf tournament is August 12th. So those are all of our dates right now. I did want to mention, if you all are not aware, if you hadn't seen the group, I don't know where else you would have heard about it, but there is a ROCO reading trail this summer, and it's really exciting. It was put together by the school's media folks, and then it's sponsored by the library, but a bunch of the businesses in Reidsville and all over Rockingham County are participating, and it's free. And so they have books, and the families are taking the kids out, and they get to read a book together as a family, and it's kind of like a stamp, and so they stamp their page. So I just wanted you to be aware, because I've already seen a lot of families out and about. I let them know that we had public restroom and they were welcome, because I know a lot of the businesses they're going into do not. But if you see families out with little kids, especially during the day, know that that's probably what they're doing, and try to engage with them and just encourage them, because I really think this is going to kind of blow up. And we did something like this, some of you may remember, in downtown Reidsville several years ago, where we had a different page of the book all throughout downtown. It was so fun. So they're doing that, and I wanted to make you aware. Also, I wanted to let you know, on a national level, that the Chamber is going to be representing Reidsville. Miss Katie is going to her first year of the U.S. Chambers Institute at UGA in Athens, Georgia, in a couple of weeks. So if you see her and get the opportunity, just speak to her about that. But I think it's going to open up a world of possibilities for us. This will be the first time since I've been and graduated in 2015 that we were able to send another staff member. And I'm really excited about it, because that means we're on a good path to having a strong number 2 behind me, and it's just really, really exciting. Also, some of you may know the Trent family. Kristen Trent is our summer position for the summer, so if you haven't been able to stop by and see her or seen her in an event, please also welcome her. She will be with us through the beginning of August. But we are hoping that she is the seed for that position. We want to turn the visitor center and the old membership position out of our retirements into a community engagement position. So we're looking forward to seeing how that goes. And then I also wanted to let you know that it's final. We adopted our strategic plan, a 5-year plan for the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce. First time. I'm so excited. Last couple weeks ago at the board meeting, and this is the internal doc, but I was told today that I will have a draft of the pretty version, the marketing version, for you all really, really soon, and we're hoping to have an event where we roll it out. But I can't wait to share with you all of the great things that came out of it. And if you participated and NC Growth interviewed you, or you talked to them at any of our events, I thank you for your input. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Diane. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
No report this month.
Councilwoman Dejanay.
I'll pass this time. I did attend the Reidsville employees event, and that was fun.
Councilman Coates. Councilman Hairston.
No report, but we do have a new community member coming in. First Baptist Church, Hubbard Street, Dr. Boxdale. He will be installed pastor there. This is coming Sunday, and I don't have the time.
It's passing.
It's already been installed.
Already been installed.
Well, that's great. That's a great thing. That's great. Our new leader. Yeah.
Councilwoman.
The one thing I want to mention is today I attended the groundbreaking for the new Reidsville Elementary School, and that was a great attendance, and the mayor was there, and our city manager was there, and some of our staff members, but it was a great day, and we look forward to that. Thank you.
I'll make mine short, too. I just want to congratulate the high school graduating class of 2026. My granddaughter, Chelsea Harrison, was a part of that class. And
all right. Congratulations.
Congratulating her and everybody else who was involved. And I was at the groundbreaking today. This is a big thing for Reidsville, this new school that we're going to have. It's going to bring all the elementary schools together into one building. That's going to be great.
Reidsville Ravens.
I wish they had said the Reidsville Packers or something like that. Reidsville Ravens, I can live with that. All right, next thing on the agenda will be a move to the first floor conference room for a closed session to discuss matters under attorney-client privilege and economic development matters and a personnel matter pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A 3, 4, and 6. Do we have a motion to go into closed session? Got a motion and a second? Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. We won't be coming back out. So thank you for coming.